Well, hello, my friends. Welcome, 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 welcome to the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. I'm so grateful to be your host tonight. I have had an incredible week. I hope you guys have all had a wonderful week. We have all been just running and being busy, being successful, helping others, paying it forward. There's been so much going on just worldwide in our nation. Long story short, all of us are doing our best to promote each other, help and support one another, and to keep good energy among each other. Not only good energy, but we want to protect our future generation, right? And we want to make sure that we can provide the services and the supports that our student leaders need in these times. And so, I've just been thinking a lot about the people that have helped me growing up. And I know I would not be where I am today if it had not been for a wonderful community of stakeholders that gave back and paid it forward in my own life. I mean, you guys know my story of going from homelessness to college dorm overnight. That was not an easy journey, and I did not do it alone. I definitely had some phenomenal people in my community, wonderful teachers, wonderful peers, and so here I am today. And I'm grateful to God, of course, for all that. But I wanted to come on the show today, and I wanted to highlight special energy and a special rock star in a phenomenal community who's doing a great work because it's people like this individual that is really going to be able to make it happen because he is a part of the future generation that I'm speaking about. And so with that said, I am so grateful to bring on the show today a world changer, a student leader from Hillsborough County, Alexander Rivera. Welcome to the podcast, to the talk show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, India. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself today, Alexander. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous. Hello, fans and family who are watching both on my page and India's page. My name is Alexander Rivera. I am a student in Hillsborough County Public Schools for District 3, which covers mostly University area all the way till Tampa Palms area. I am a student of Freedom High School, which is the sister school to Liberty Middle School, where I'm a proud alum. Go Eagles.
Oh,
I just want to say that this is a wonderful opportunity and a moment for me to shine. So thank you, India.
you're very welcome, Alexander. And, I'm very proud of you as well as everyone in the community. So, tell us a little bit about your experience as a student in Hillsborough County. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about that area for those in the show that might not know. Tell us a little bit about that area. Tell us a little bit about your experience as a student there.
My name is Alexander Rivera, and I am a student in Hillsborough County Public Schools, which is the seventh largest school district in the nation. I think I actually began my journey as a student of Hillsborough County, beginning at Lopez Elementary on August 5th, 2008. So 12 years I've been a student in this wonderful district. I've had the honor of attending the most amazing schools, um, ranging from K through 5 and 6 through 8. And what's really fun about that, India, is not only am I a Hillsborough student. Sorry, I got mixed up there, but
Mhm.
I guess my outstanding achievements would have to go to my wonderful mother because when I became a student in the county, my mother was a single mother, meaning my parents separated when they were when I was young and my when my sister was young. My sister, however, was enrolled in Hillsborough schools in 2007, so she has more experience than me, but that's
Mhm.
okay. um,
Yeah, she's
my
leading the way.
brother, she is, and my sister and my mother, as my sister, my mother, and my brother are all former students of Hillsborough schools,
Oh, wow.
ranging from through 12. So
Very,
this is good.
very nice. Very nice that they're all a product of Hillsborough County. That's wonderful. Um, and so I have another question. So did some research about just different things with Hillsborough County, and just in general. Hillsborough County's graduation rate is an 88.8%. Now, for you guys that know me, I love Hillsborough County. And I remembered when we were striving to get it to 90%. And I'm so proud of the work that has been done here. That definitely is a great accomplishment. You can look up different things on their website to see more. But how do you feel about that graduation rate and all of the great work that has been going on in Hillsborough County?
India, what's really interesting about our graduation rates is, you know, this is an incredible and a surprising rate because, we were both aiming for 90%, and we are only 2 points away from that, you know, graduation rate. And I'm extremely proud of the hardworking teachers, our administrators, and of course our wonderful students who are, working the who are going to school, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I mean, not 7 days a week, but only five
Yeah,
days a week. But nonetheless, it and my advice, if you're going to do the job as a student, it is a full-time job. You must have commitment, you must have integrity, and you must have accountability within yourself.
that's some beautiful advice. And I know that there are many students there's 206,000 plus students here, guys, in Hillsborough County. This is located in Tampa, Florida, in case you guys, watching from other states or across the nation or across the globe. This is a school in Tampa, Florida that we're talking about. I think this is pretty impressive to graduate 88% of a wonderful population like this. And so with that, I want to also see if you can kind of tell us a little bit about your journey as a student in COVID. When the COVID announcement came, where were you at? How did that affect you that year back in 2020? And how has it been as a student learner with in relation to overcoming COVID and all the little glitches with education?
I think, first and foremost, India, I think that, before I even found out about COVID, I was, sitting in my living room, and my mother said to me, she's like, no more brick and mortar. I was like, why is that? She goes, because there's a virus going on. And I was like, what's the name of this virus? And when she told me, I was pretty much scared for my life because in
Yeah,
it states that it has damaging effects on your lungs. And
right.
it was just, I was born with a medical condition, meaning if I were to ever get coronavirus, I would die from it because it would kill me. In response to COVID, I think that when I was in eighth grade at the time, and I told my mother, I was like, so what does that mean? I, can't graduate. She was like, you can graduate, but from your car. And when I started watching, the drive-through graduations that were going on at Freedom,
Right.
that really affected my mother because
Mm.
my mother recently graduated college with her nursing degree and had to do a virtual ceremony. And on the day of her graduation, she just broke down into tears. I'm like, Mom, why are you crying? She's like, we were originally going to do an in-person graduation, but it was canceled due to COVID. I felt
Mhm.
so bad for her. And then when we started remote learning almost immediately, I was like, because originally I didn't have a webcam for my laptop. I was like, now what am I gonna do? So I told my mom, and she's like, okay, we'll get you a new laptop. And I love this laptop, I have to say. In addition, Zoom has really helped us in a lot of ways. I use Zoom. If you ask anyone who I know, they will literally tell you he uses Zoom quite often. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, I think remote learning Um, it was a great at first, but being inside my home office, which I'm in right now, for 6 months, there's no. And when I went back in September, in person, and I felt safe because these were brand new teachers, and I did not want to kick off my freshman year by doing e-learning. I told my mother, I was like, I am not doing it. She's like, okay, go to school for 2 weeks and we'll see how things go. Nothing changed. So I went back to in person, and that really, affected, you know, a lot of changes within me and my sister's emotions. My sister was starting to get depressed, and I told Liz, I was like,
Mhm.
Elizabeth, we want to go. You want to go back to, in person? She's like, heck yes, I'm in. And
Mm.
so September 17th was my official start date at Freedom High School in Tampa.
Wow. Well, look here. There was a survey that talked, they asked parents, and it said 60% of parents didn't feel safe with their kids going back to brick and mortar. 21% said that they aren't having their child return to brick and mortar due to COVID. And so what you're talking about here is very real. And I appreciate you, Alexander, sharing your experience as a student, as a scholar, and what it's been like for you, because sometimes we don't hear of, the reality of what's going on. It's just kind of a lot of numbers. I mean, we know here that, there's been billions of dollars, $243 billion poured into the e-learning system all over the world, which means it's not going away. So what can we do about it to make it better? And so tell us about how it's impacted your learning experience, being a social distance learner, having classes online, taking tests online. And you talked about, for example, not having a web camera, but talk about your overall experience, remembering brick and mortar and then remembering e-learning. And then, if you're doing blended now or whatnot, talk to the audience about this, because I think some people just are a little bit detached. They just don't know. And they want to know more. So tell us, how has it been as a student?
Well, when I went back to brick and mortar back in September 17th of last year, I was really happy because, it was my, excuse me, it was my first year of high school. And I told my mom, I was like, I'm ready. Just send me on my way, wearing my mask and just having a backpack on my shoulders for the first time, in 6 months. Really, I remember walking up to the school parking lot and my mom dropping me off and her blowing a kiss at me, and that really touched my heart. And I remember just going to the front office to get my student schedule. I just dropped down right there and I started crying because I was like, I miss you guys. I'm back. And, with the minute I said I'm back, literally, like the principal comes around and he starts, did an elbow fist bump with my sister. And I, and I met him for the first time, and he was so well connected with his students.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Love it.
he's a really great person. Where when I did virtual learning,
Yeah.
huh?
He sounds like a good principal. So your principal was really supportive, and
He
the administrators there, your teachers, everybody's been good, supportive, helping out.
Yes, and before I hopped on to our show, your show, I was in the backstage. I was backstage, and I was telling my mother, I was like, "What am I gonna do during this interview?" She's like, "Well, you're gonna have a person interview you, and you're gonna be fine. So take a deep breath, grab as much as water as you can, as long as you don't steal." So I had like 3 bottles of water, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm so sorry, but I'm sweating. And she's like, you're fine. She's like, don't
Yeah.
stress yourself.
Yeah. And you're doing great, and I have some facts here about distance learning that I want to share with the community that's watching. It says how to help your child with distance learning. Make learning space for them, at home or wherever. It says make a schedule and stick to it. Reduce distractions. use a calendar and color code it, and exercise. So these are some things that understood.org gave us as far as with advice for students that are dealing with social distance learning. What do you think about that advice? Do you have any other tips there for parents or people in the community to support students that are undergoing these changes?
Absolutely, and this is a great source. Nadia Combs, who's now a school board member, when she was running, if you go under her personal Facebook, Nadia Combs, it has some tips for e-learning or brick and mortar. One of the things was avoid all the distractions and have the times our students like to get off task.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I was like one of them, and I was just I really didn't want to hop on Zooms every single day because Zoom for me, when I was doing e-learning, it was hectic. I mean, you were on for like 2.5 hours, and then the longest period that I remember was period 3, which is 88 minutes long. And
Why is
that
period 88 minutes long?
because we have first lunch and we have second lunch.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then
Understood.
so when how do I explain this? Um I personally recommend parents out there, I'd personally recommend that you have like a quiet space for your child so you can actually watch your child actually doing something. Like for me, whenever I was on Zoom, I wouldn't go to the kitchen table. I would be, in my office with my sister. My sister would sit on my big fluffy chair, she likes to call, and she would sit there with her iPad and she would just, Zoom with her teacher. And her teacher used to say to her, don't slouch. and I, and I was like, she's like, but ma'am, I'm e-learning. And she's like, you're in my virtual classroom, aren't you? And she goes, yes. And she's like, don't slouch.
How has that been? I mean, talk to us about, okay, so the difference between being in person and then being in the luxury of your own home, hanging out with your family, walking around you while you're in class. Like, what's been the biggest difference? And do you tell us the pros and cons of social distance learning over being in brick and mortar?
By social distance learning, you mean over like at home or
Yes,
at school?
yes, at
At
home.
school?
At home.
Oh, at home. Okay.
Yes.
I have to say, one of the terms I like to use whenever people ask me, why did you return to the bricks or brick and mortar? I tell them I've been confined to the box for 6 months. And
Yeah.
you're telling me this now. So, you know, I loved e-learning, but I didn't imagine that it was going to be 6 months long. I mean,
Wow.
God knows when COVID could end,
Hmm.
but what's important is that our community needs to be safe. That's
And I
what's
think
important.
that's beautiful that you're advocating for your community. And I think too, I want to give a shout out to your parents because you mentioned how your mom has been there for you, and there's other advice that they've given us, and they said that whenever you have a student that is a virtual learner, parents, we have to be proactive. So can you talk to us about how maybe your mom has done certain little things that has just made it just a wonderful experience for you overall, and maybe an attitude or certain things she said to you to encourage you?
Absolutely. That is a wonderful and terrific question, my opinion. You know, I love my mom. Moms are there to protect their children. Um, you know, when I when I made the point that I wanted to go back, she's like, "Are you sure this is what you want?" And I told her, "Yes, I've been confined to the box for 6 months. I want out. I want to get out of this house." And she's like, "Okay, if that doesn't mean you don't get to see me every single day," I'm like, "I still get to see you after 3 o'clock."
Yeah.
So my mom's a nurse, so she's a frontline worker. And my aunt who recently got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay.
Who's also a frontline worker. I actually told them, I was like, I love how you guys are supportive of me and how proud you are of me. Those are my two number one fans. I have to say they're really nice, they're loving, and I remember going on birthday vacation with my mom. For my birthday, and we all went to SeaWorld, and she was kind of upset because half the times they were closed, and she was like, "I'm out of here." So we went to Fun Spot, which is up in Orlando, and we had fun there. And then we went home, and it was a nice vacation. And my mom is very supportive. Like,
Mhm.
she's the type of person that you could just sit down and have 4 to 5 cups of coffee a day with.
Oh, wow.
So she's
Nice.
so
She's
nice.
my type of person. Yes. Oh, that's very nice. So, have you been worried at all about contracting COVID at all? Especially whether in brick and mortar or when you're out and about. Like, what have you been doing as far as safety precautions and talk about your experience with that?
First and foremost, I was born with a pulmonary disease called trichomalacia, which I I've never heard of this medical term, but my mom told me it's something with your trachea, which is located in your throat, and it really, if I were to get coronavirus, then I would die from it, and I don't want that because I just want to be able to a lot of people want to mask off half the time. And
Mhm.
I see one time I saw one of my friends at school who's not wearing a mask. And I told him, "Do you need a mask?" He was like, "Yes, my mom won't get me one." And I actually reached into my bag and I told him, "Here's a mask." And I actually told him, I was like, "Make sure you mask up because if you don't mask up, you're going to get it. And I don't want you to die from it. You're one of the few friends I have at the school. So make the best of it. Please wear your mask."
Well,
And
that's very
temperature
nice
is
to
really
offer him
important.
a mask. I'm sure that the schools there are offering students masks and hand sanitizer and things, right? So I'm sure that, yeah, school is probably on top of that as well. Now, I want to talk to you about teachers. So here's some advice that they have for teachers, and it says, um, advice for teachers: have patience with each student, repeat procedures and routines, empathy for every learner. So put yourself in their shoes. Be intentional about each assignment, especially during social distance. I mean, I can only imagine if you're getting like 10 homework assignments all online, how overwhelming that would have felt, right? Um, and then finding ways to make it interactive. So, talk to us about some of your teacher heroes and what they've done and maybe some advice that you have like, look, teachers, do not do this, or teachers, you got to make sure you do this because this is what's helping students. So maybe you can be a voice for students right now, to teachers. So go ahead and tell the teachers what you want.
Okay, so teachers, if you're watching this live video, I'm going to give you some advice. Preferably, you take this advice because it could save your students slash your life. First and foremost, have patience with your students. That is so important. Like, I I remember one time I was doing an intervention meeting. I had to walk into um a SLP class, speech language pathology class, and I had to deliver or something. And I remember telling there's this one speech coach. Mind you, this is many years ago. This was like elementary when I was in like second grade. So I go into the classroom, and this teacher was saying, "Do this right, do this right." I'm like, "Hey, take it down a couple of notches, sis. Like, there's no reason for you to be yelling at the student just because they have a learning disability doesn't mean they could solve anything." And a really good example of this is not, it was a bad example, but there was this one student who had long-term memory loss, and there was this one student that couldn't even do poor thing, she couldn't even remember what the teacher assigned her to do. And the teacher would get in her face like, I told you to do this. And I was like, are you
Mm.
serious right now? Like, this student is going through a hard time already, and you're already, gonna yell at her? Like, that is not a teacher. That is Gordon Ramsay versus like, what's her name? Emerald Lagasse here. Like, and she says, I'm sorry, miss, I don't understand. And she's like, well, next time do your homework. And I actually stood up in front of that classroom and actually helped her.
Wow.
And I didn't care if I failed or not. I made sure that that student passed.
Beautiful. That's called equity. That's called
Yes.
equity. When you are providing supports for people that need some extras, some just an extra hand. So I'm proud of you for doing that. Continue. So being intentional about each assignment. Talk to us about that for your teachers.
I think what was the question again? Because
Being intentional about each assignment. So making sure that you're not just assigning things just to assign it, but it has a specific
for their pleasure. If you,
right.
I think teachers, you need to be more descriptive with your students. Like, tell them this is how you should do it. If you need help, I could help you before school tomorrow morning, so we could get this done, so you don't fail my class. Or even for high school teachers, I've seen teachers who are talking to the underclassmen like, you need to do this, or you need to do this by a certain due date. And I actually said to them, I'm like, what if the student has like an IEP plan or a 504 plan? They require more extended time, because I have that, and I use it all the time for like statewide exams. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a great tool. Even though your student doesn't have an IEP plan, parents, I highly recommend that you call your child's school and you speak to someone who could assist you, even if they have an ESC plan or they don't. What matters is that your student, graduates high school, graduates middle school, and graduates elementary school, because this is so important, especially during a global wide pandemic.
Wow. So you, before we go to this next one, well,
Yeah.
now we'll go to the next one. It says find ways to make it interactive. So how has your teachers helped you with making class engaging and fun while you're learning and that metacognition's going? What has that experience been like? Which classes are like super fun? You're like, oh, this teacher just does it right.
That is a great question. And a lot of students ask me this. They're like, what are some of the things that I remember actually today someone asked me, what is some fun tips that your teacher likes to do in the classroom? And the first thing I said is hands-on learning, because all students like to get hands-on, well, while socially distanced, because we can't do it like huddled up like a football team. But we have to do it very carefully as we can. Half the time we if I remember one time in physical science, we had to do a volcano where the teacher took ginger ale and some salt, and nothing happened. And then she put, what's it called? She didn't put flour, she put baking soda in it. And when she put baking soda in, it was like it was kind of like an explosion, and people were like, it was so cool. It was like so quick and so sudden. I was like, am I gonna take a picture and put it on my Twitter? Like, this is freaking cool. And I told my teacher, I was like, that was a fun experiment. And she's like, really? She's like, you're the only student that told me it was fun. Others wanted to do book work. I go,
Oh,
I told them, so tomorrow we're actually doing a lab, and I'm looking forward to that. So
awesome. Well, I'm very happy to see that you're enjoying school in spite of everything. You mentioned testing and how you have extended time.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about how you've been, I guess, preparing for the FSA and your opinion on standardized testing this year. At the end of this year, I believe it starts in March, April. What is your opinion about this? How do you feel about it, and how have you been preparing for it?
I think first and foremost, standardized testing, in my opinion, needs to be less. You know, there's no way in any circumstances that a student is going to learn so much by a certain time just to learn something. And when we did that, if you remember last year when we did a Zoom, where I did a Zoom interview with you, and I asked you this, the first thing we said is that we need to decrease student testing, because I feel bad, especially for the little kids, kindergarten, because no student needs to know, from counting one all the way to 100 by March. These little guys have, short, half the time their minds are still developing. They, a lot of our students have to ensure that this is what they want, meaning that are they prepared for it? Do they have the materials at home to prepare them? Do they need review packets? One of the things I did with when I was in kindergarten, actually when I was in fifth grade, and I was actually a kindergarten teacher aide, the first thing that came to my mind is, do these kids need anything from a classroom resource store?
Oh,
Now, Hillsborough Schools has a wonderful program called the Hillsborough Education. What is it?
foundation.
Hillsborough Education Foundation. It's
Mm.
like a teacher store where students could, not students, but teachers could buy, manipulatives or whatever they need to be successful. And Trevor Pettiford from Bay News 9, when he was interviewing Len Gray, who was running for school board at the time, and I had the opportunity to speak some of my things, and I actually said to her, I was like, Board Member Gray, I think the most important thing here that's on our table is our children, because there's no way that a student is going to understand all shapes in less than 6 months. There's no way. There's no way for a student to even count. High school students can't remember half the time because one, they're either unprepared, or two, they don't have the resources at home to study. My recommendation, for FSA, is go to the website fsaassessments.org. It has practice tests. It can actually help you ace the
Mm-hmm.
test. And for
Wow.
college board tests like PSAT, I know I took it. So that's the National Merit Scholarship qualifying test, and it was a very hard test because this took like 3.5 hours, and I was tired. I didn't even want to go to my other classes. I was so tired.
Wow. Which test was this?
PSAT,
Mm. Wow.
PSAT, and
Yeah.
National Merit Scholarship qualifying test.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah.
And
So, and those prepare for college. So, any advice for um, school leaders regarding that? Because you're right. You have to take that. You also have to take the FSA. So, what would you propose? What would be your opinion as to how they can make it less while still being able to be accountable for student data and the results of how students are showing proficiency throughout the year?
I think first and foremost, I believe that if I was to bring this agenda to the school board, I think it would surpass almost immediately. But in my opinion, like I was mentioning to Nadia Combs, who's District 1 school board, I actually mentioned this to her, and she's like, I believe we should do less standardized testing because, our students can't remember half the time, but we have to ensure, like, this is what's right for them. How could we help them, become more successful? In my book, if I was a board member and I brought this item to the table, I honestly think that more than likely parents would reach out to me and tell me, why is the the test going down, and I said, it's not because of they're doing a poor job. It's because we want to take, have the times heavy weights off their shoulders. They should not be working,
Yeah.
For 2.5 hours. That's ridiculous. I would do breaks in between. That's how we could
For
prepare our
all
students.
students, or for certain students, or for all students?
Students, and also students who have or do not have an IEP 504 plan.
Okay. So just in general, and maybe it could be an option,
Yeah.
that if that student feels like they need that, then, school wide or district wide or statewide, they can make that an option for all students, to provide whether or not they would need extra time, especially
Mhm.
seeing that there's been a COVID dip or a COVID slide, in performance, from our learners overall. And so these tests, they're very important because, of course, they're going to either prepare you for college or not. And I know, I want to share a statistic with you, or some data. According to the U.S. Department of Education, between the years of 2000 and 2015, the college going rate of Hispanic high school graduates grew from 22 to 37%, and now 54% graduate with a bachelor's degree, which is actually an increase of 6%, according to that data that was pulled, from the U.S. Department of Education. And so with that said, we want those numbers to increase. And of course, the tests would definitely play a factor in that. What else would you think could help increase these numbers and this rate right here that we're discussing?
I think, when the first thing that comes to my mind is study. Now, a lot of times students don't like to study because they're half the times they're tired. I was the same way when I was in, sixth and seventh grade. I did not want to take my ELC exams. And when I was in eighth grade, I was placed in a higher level history classroom where we had, it was just a really big classroom. And I remember recommending, I'm going to do, tutoring, I'm going to help students be more successful. And when the idea was brought to the student council, at that time I was the chairman of that, and I told them, I was like, okay, council members, this is what we're going to do. Do I have your vote? And it passed. From us, it was a 7-2 vote when we voted, and literally I was surprised that 2 opposed from it, while me, as well as 7 others, actually said to them, we have to ensure that this is right for our students, because our students matter. And think about the lives of your own, like, put yourself in their shoes, for example. Like, have empathy for them, meaning, if this student has a learning disability, they should definitely, most 110%, require extended time.
Right. So there's been a lot of talk about equity and, just overall supporting students. So what you're speaking to is just basically saying, make the playing field not just equal, but provide the resources. What are some resources that you think you would need, in particular, maybe in, just in classes overall in general? Are there certain supports you might need in your math class versus your English class as a student? What are some things that you would prefer?
First and foremost, that is like I said, a wonderful question. I think, when I was in elementary school and I was pulled for extended time, I think one of the things that most case managers are the ones responsible for, the IEP meetings, stuff like that. But I think one of the things that my math reading coach always said to me, she always said, go to sleep early, before the day of your exam, show up like a warrior, and write your name on your test. And I took that very much to heart, because if I see a student who needs help or something, half the times I will literally, say to them, "Do you need help with this, or do you need anything at all?" Like, and my mother personally recommends for education that you go to Lakeshore Learning. It's on Kennedy Boulevard. It's right next to a bridal store. But nonetheless, I believe that the Hillsborough Education Foundation should start, doing like test guides, like flip charts, like to help them summarize their multiplication or division facts, or same thing with kindergarten students, like count to 100, how to write your name, how to spell, that type of thing. I believe it would really set things off here in Hillsborough County.
That's a very interesting idea. So just providing different manipulatives and resources on the side. Okay. Um,
Materials I need.
yeah. So tell me, I mean, you have risen up to be a phenomenal student leader in Hillsborough County. Um,
Mhm.
so why has it stirred you to improve your community as a student advocate? What inspired you to go down this journey?
Well, what inspired me? I actually have one person who has really risen from the schoolhouse to the state house, and that person is the remarkable state representative Susan Valdez. When I met Susan, I never met her, but when I met her, you know, over COVID, we couldn't do, in person interviews or anything, but I remember asking her, when she was on the school board, she was on the school board for a really long time, from 2004 to 2018. And I remember telling her, I was like, what is your key focuses of becoming a school board member? The first thing she said was our students, because our students matter, all lives matter. And what really started my journey as an advocate and as an activist within our community is I've learned to listen to the people. I have listened to firsthand testimonies from all different kinds of people. I had a student during the student council ask me, "Why are you doing this? You're not doing your job right." And I actually said, "I am doing my job right. I'm the chairman of the board. I got this under control." And he said, "We'll see in 6 months." And within 6 months, um, we had the elections, for re-election. And I actually told him, I was like, "If you don't get the job, it's okay, because you're going to become, my running mate." He was very much pleased with that, and it is, I only had to serve, 2 terms, because I served in the beginning of the school year, and then towards the middle of the school year we had elections, and then we sort of finished off. And when I left, he became the chairman, and that really made me impressed. And I told him, I was like, "You risen up from a a wonderful person to, you know, um, a wonderful and remarkable human being." And I believe first and foremost that our students really need to, be more successful, and they are doing wonderful. And I'm very proud of each and every one of them. We have 206,841, I think, or 840. Oh, there we go. 206,841 kids in our district. And I am, so relieved, because the day I turn 18, I promise you, I'm going down to that county clerk's office, and I'm going to show my face, and I'm going to file for school board, because I want our students to be successful in
Wow.
the way they can.
I like that. So you want to run for school board someday
Yes,
in your
and what a hell. That, I'm going to follow Susan's dream, from the schoolhouse to the state house, because our students matter, and this is my moment to shine.
That is beautiful. So where would you like to pursue college?
Uh, Now we're getting into college. Okay.
Is that what
I
you want, you know?
college is very important in life, because I this is from the movie Sister Act. If you want to, how do you say it? If you want to be somebody, and if you want to go somewhere, they need to wake up and pay attention. And I have paid
Hmm.
attention, and I am fully. It's like I'm rising from the grave. I'm reborn again, and now that I get a chance, to sit here with this wonderful woman, Dr. White, I have to say, one of my ultimate dreams has been to go to two of my favorite colleges of all time, Florida International, which is located in Miami, and Florida State, which is located up in the capital, which is Tallahassee.
Beautiful. Very nice. So you want to be a Seminole. I won't hold that against you as a Gator, but I think that's wonderful.
Okay, now you said it. I'm gonna go with UF instead of
Oh, yeah,
FIU.
I support you. Just graduate. My thing is, if you got it in you,
I still
just
have my
do
Gator
it
shirt.
and do it again if you can. That's my advice. And if you need support getting there, I'm here for you. The community in Hillsborough County is amazing. They're there for you. Your family's there. So you have to succeed. You have too many people watching you, believing in you, and supporting you for you to not go on and do great things. So I know you'll do some phenomenal things. And so you want to go to Florida State or to FIU. And I know Hillsborough Education Foundation as well is wonderful with providing scholarships for students. So that's another opportunity that could just put some extra funds in your pocket. Exactly. And so I'm very proud of you, Alexander. And so I wanted to ask you, what is your one goal this year as a student advocate for students in Hillsborough County?
What I want to happen in our school district?
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, I believe, I was mentioning this to Nadia Combs last night. I was telling her, I was like, way back when, not too long ago, but back in 2010, the school board used to invite students to sit in on the school board meetings, and they
Mhm.
would actually invite students to say what they have to say about agenda items. I think that would be an excellent thing to have come back. And, I want, not only my voice heard, I am advocating for all of the students around Hillsborough County schools because they are the most important in my.
That's wonderful. Yes, I do remember those days. I know that there's just been a push for that and more of a equity and more of a student voice, which is exciting. And I know that with everything going on just in our nation, everything going on just overall, I couldn't imagine what it's been like for you as a student. Um, and so I'm proud of you and for what you've been able to accomplish this far. I don't know how actively involved you've been. I'm sure you're in student government, um, as far as like with extracurricular activities and what you've been able to do locally in your community. But maybe you can speak about that and maybe some hopes that you might have community wide as well.
Absolutely. And that is bring me to my next you know big thing. I'm putting quotes around that because one of the things that I am active within our community is I'm very active within my church, so I'm very, very religious. I actually, volunteered for, feeding days. Um, I'm a part of the Lutheran Urban Parish, which is LUPITA, which is the ELCA or Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, um, which is the overseer of a lot of churches, not only here in the Tampa Bay area, but this is like around the 50 states. This goes from Alabama to Georgia. It's all over the place, and we're a global wide denomination, and they are truly accepting.
Very nice. Wow. That's beautiful to hear that you've got that support group. It's definitely important to have a sense of community as you're making it through. these times. And I know you mentioned your mom and everything. But I'm very proud of the work that is going on in Hillsborough County. And I know that they are striving for greatness. I have no doubt that they will reach their 90% goal that they had years ago. 88.8 is amazing. And it just brings a smile to my face to see what is taking place. And so with that said, Alexander, I know, as a student, you've been through so much. You made history as a student, right? Being in COVID and so did you have any advice for students that are watching this that you
Um,
want to?
yeah, absolutely. Students, my advice to you, and a lot of times, in these unprecedented times, do not give up, because at the end of the day, even though you're not doing so well, at least you're trying. And I, as a student activist and as a student leader here in Tampa, I must say this, that you guys are truly remarkable. Although I don't know all of you, I know some of you, but my advice is that you do what you're told, listen to your parents, go to college, because college is the most important. After high school, I think the best thing you should do is call your mom every single day just to check in on her. I do it with my mom all the time. Even though she tells me go back to class, I still tell her, I was like, Mom, I just need a moment to say I love you. And she's like, okay, we'll talk to. I was like, okay, we'll talk later. And she's like, you betcha. After a cup of coffee, she's like, I might be a couple minutes late because I'm getting a cup of coffee, but that doesn't matter. Um, but nonetheless, you, the students, are quite remarkable. You have a whole life ahead of you. Do not take it for granted, because life is so crucial, especially during a global wide pandemic. Just please mask up, do your part, and live your best life. That's all I can say.
That's beautiful advice, Alexander. Now, do you have any advice for teachers, school board members, leaders in your district?
I would first and foremost, I know Nadia Combs did this with me when she was on a candidate forum. I'd especially like to thank all of the wonderful board members. I want to thank Lynn. I want to thank Lynn Gray. I want to thank Melissa Snively. I want to thank the entire board for their service and devotion, both past and former school board members. Even though your time on the board was wonderful, you are still making history as a board member. As for my teachers, I know I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook. Teachers, thank you for servicing our wonderful kids. If this is your first year here in the district, you're going to love Hillsborough County Schools, because this is going to be your home. You never want to leave. So if we love you no matter what. You guys are our superheroes, and you guys go to school to make sure our students are taken care of, they're successful, and that they matter, and that's the most important in our school district.
Beautiful. Any advice for your
Yep.
district leaders and your superintendent staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I would especially like to thank my wonderful superheroes of you know, uh, of my area, because I live all the way in Wesley Chapel. But one thing that I am grateful for is my wonderful family. I'm thankful for, Superintendent Davis for his wonderful leadership to our district. I think you're doing a wonderful job. Ever since you took that oath back in July, you have really set a standard. And that standard is to prepare our students for life, and you are going above and beyond, and we are so grateful to have you as our superintendent.
That's very sweet of you to say, Alexander. And I hope that these leaders are able to see these messages so that they can get a boost to their day and know that their job is paying off and that they are paying it forward. Alexander, this has been a wonderful show having you on here. Is there a way that people can reach you if they're interested in getting in contact with you later to discuss student advocacy, or if they want to speak with you more about what you
Absolutely.
show?
I'm under Facebook under Alexander Rivera. My phone number. I only accept calls Monday through Fridays from 3:45 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. I know it's late in the day, but that is my schedule. My phone number is 813-860-3678.
Now you're
If you'd
comfortable
like,
with people having this number, correct? Because I know you're a student, so I
yeah,
want to
I cannot accept, hands down, I cannot accept any calls past 8 o'clock at night. I'm pretty sure you guys are knowing this, but I have a curfew.
Okay, so your phone number again is 813.
860
Uh-huh.
3678.
Wonderful. So
And
I'll
if
now.
available 24 hours a day on weekends, because like I said, 3:45 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. That's it. I just want to say, if you guys want to discuss advocacy, or you need someone to talk to, or just a motivation, come to me and I got you.
Wonderful. This has been wonderful. So let me add that so that everyone can see that. Those are his hours. Please respect his time frame. Only to discuss school-related things, advocacy, and whatnot. That is what he's available for. So there's his information. So please make sure that you guys are sensitive to that information and respectful. Alexander, this has been phenomenal. Thank you all for tuning in again.
Real quick, if I may.
Yes.
No, if I may, this has been really fun. Also, I have to say, no sharing this information with other people. I do not accept calls with other people. So, thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so people know that even though this is a show, they know that that is sensitive information. And if they really want to get in touch with you, they can Facebook you, and then they can ask for your permission to share out information. And so we'll go from there. And that sounds great. And so this pretty much wraps up the show. Thank you so much, Alexander, for being a part of the Real Talk show today with Dr. India White. Guys, it has been a great show. You've heard from the mouth of the student what it's been like in times of COVID here in our nation. Here in particular, Hillsborough County, putting them on the map, represent Hillsborough County. And with that said, please definitely keep in touch with me. If you guys want to be featured on the show, you see the banner below. You can contact me at india.white.123@gmail.com. This show will be featured on the Swain Girl Media channel. So I'm super excited about that. You just have to download it on Fire Stick and you will see that there. In addition, the show, Real Talk Show, will be repeated Monday through Fridays on soulnetwkdh.com radio online station. So we've got a couple of different avenues that this show will be featured on. So we're super excited about that. So please make sure that you are keeping in touch in that. If you need any information, reach out to me. You can also follow me, guys, on Facebook. You've got my information there. You've got Miss India White. You've got me on LinkedIn at The India White, Twitter, Indie Speak and Teach, Instagram, Indie238, and my YouTube channel is India White 123. If you're interested in being on the show, please make sure you're sending an email. And again, Alexander, thank you so much. It has been an honor to have you here on the show. We appreciate you. I'm proud of you. You will do phenomenal on those standardized tests. You do phenomenal all your 4 years. You will go to college like you desire. You will run for school board and you will probably run for office, whatever it is that you want to do. So don't stop no matter what. Okay. Okay, and definitely keep in touch.
Yep, I'll be sure to listen to Fleetwood Mac tonight. Don't stop.
That's right. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. You have a wonderful night. Get some sleep, study. I know you have some tests tomorrow. So yes. All right. Well, it's been phenomenal. Take care, okay? Take care. Bye.
Bye.